U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed in writing his plans for a 50% tariff on all copper imports into his country. He says the tariffs will take effect on August 1st. And we're now getting reaction from the federal government. The CBC's Sam Sampson is following the story from Washington. So, Sam, what more can you tell us about Trump's decision to put tariffs on copper imports?
Well, the U.S. president says that decision was made after a robust national security assessment. And that may be referring to a Section 232 investigation, which is meant to determine if imports are threatening national security here in the United States.
And now today we're doing copper.
What would that tariff be on? The Section
I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
50%. President Trump has just launched a new trade war, this time targeting copper. On July 10th, he signed a proclamation confirming a 50% tariff on all imported copper, taking effect August 1st. He claims it's about national security, likely under a Section 232 investigation. But the impact was immediate. Global copper markets went into shock. Prices jumped 13% in a single day, the largest spike in copper futures history, hitting a record $5.95 per pound. And it's not just Wall Street feeling it. From Quebec mines to U.S. car factories, the hit is already spreading fast. Canada wasted no time. Within hours of Trump's copper tariff announcement, Ottawa fired back. Chrystia Freeland confirmed a retaliatory 50% export tax on all Canadian copper heading to the U.S., calling Trump's move reckless and provocative. Canadian copper accounts for nearly 35% of U.S. refined copper imports, making this retaliation especially painful. Several shipments were already halted mid-route at the border. And the effect? U.S. copper buyers are scrambling. From electrical wiring to EV battery lines, manufacturers are suddenly facing massive shortages. Canadian officials made it clear, this wasn't just about copper, it's about sending a message. What's worse for the U.S. is that global buyers are moving on, fast. Days after the tariff fight broke out, Canada announced two massive long-term copper supply agreements. One with the EU Green Infrastructure Fund, worth over $2.4 billion, and another with South Korea, valued at $1.6 billion. Both deals were quietly negotiated in the months prior. But the timing of the announcement? Not a coincidence. While U.S. industries brace for price hikes, Europe and Asia are locking in clean, reliable copper supply. It's a shift that could realign global trade routes and sideline the U.S. The shock is already hitting U.S. projects. In Arizona, a major electric bus factory paused orders, citing severe disruptions in copper supply. In Illinois, a housing developer says copper wiring costs have more than doubled. The National Electrical Contractors Association issued a warning. Copper costs are now unpredictable, and project delays are imminent. Even utilities are exposed. New York's grid modernization projects, heavily reliant on Canadian copper, are now under review. And despite this chaos, the Trump administration has not reversed course. Officials say the tariffs are non-negotiable. Meanwhile, construction crews are being told, wait or pay double. Inside Washington, industry leaders are panicking. Lobbyists representing copper importers, builders, and automakers are flooding Capitol Hill. Some are pushing for temporary exemptions. Others are urging Trump to carve out Canadian copper from the tariff entirely. But so far, the White House isn't budging. In fact, sources say Trump sees the backlash as proof the tariffs are working. Behind closed doors, some Republican senators are fuming, warning that swing states reliant on construction and manufacturing could take a serious hit. Trump's team is betting that economic toughness still sells better than compromise. Canada isn't just exporting copper, it's exporting control. Unlike the US, which imports nearly 40% of its copper, Canada produces more than it consumes, giving it leverage. And now, with new copper exploration projects fast-tracked in British Columbia and Quebec, Ottawa is racing to expand that lead. Analysts say if Canada keeps up its current growth pace, it could overtake Chile as a top 3 global supplier by 2030. This isn't just about mining, it's about critical mineral security. And for allies like the EU and Japan, that's reason enough to shift long-term contracts away from the US permanently. The US EV sector just hit a wall. Copper is essential for EV motors, charging stations, and battery systems. And much of that copper? It was coming from Canada. Since the tariffs, Ford and GM have both flagged sourcing issues, while Rivian temporarily halted a battery expansion plan. Worse, U.S. battery manufacturers say they'll now need to import copper from further away, South America or Central Africa, driving up both price and delay. Meanwhile, Canada signed a strategic pact with Volkswagen and BYD, offering tariff-free copper to foreign EV makers who invest north of the border. Investors saw the copper war as a flashing red light. Within 48 hours of Trump's announcement, copper futures exploded, while shares in Canadian mining companies surged. Teck Resources shot up 22%. Hudbay Minerals gained 15%. In contrast, several US-based copper buyers and industrials slumped. And it wasn't just stocks. Analysts from Morgan Stanley and Barclays downgraded several US manufacturing ETFs, citing serious margin risks tied to tariff volatility. Translation? Wall Street is already repositioning. Canada is being seen as the new safe haven for copper-related investments. And the White House? Silent as markets shift. Copper may just be the beginning. That's already sending chills through US tech, defense, and green energy sectors. If tariffs expand, so will retaliation, and Canada's already drafting contingency responses. In short, a tit-for-tat showdown could fracture North American supply chains for a decade. But there's still a path out. Trade experts say rolling back the tariffs or fast-tracking bilateral mineral agreements could stabilize the market, if Washington acts fast. For now, though, Canada's winning. And Trump? He's only doubling down.